Let's use that mic there.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
And which headphones?
Don't need to use any headphones.
Oh, great, wonderful.
Make it easier, and you don't have to mess up your hair.
Oh, cool. Too late. Lacey smartly gave me a ponytail this morning, so it's serious friendly hair.
Wake up in the morning, throws a scrunchie at you, and go, let's go.
Oh, if only it was that easy.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the show, Gillian Jacobs. I was very excited because every other time I put in a request to get to you, they booked you on so many other shows, you were busy. So
Gosh,
finally,
darn it. I'm
finally
glad
it's
I'm
my
here.
chance to talk to you.
Yeah.
How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Good. You're busy. You're doing well. Love on Netflix.
Yes.
You got. Look, I'm going to be honest. I'm halfway through it.
Oh, okay. That's
so I'm
great.
still going through the rest of it there. I do like that your character Mickey Dobbs works in satellite radio.
Totally.
Just like
It's
that.
good to be here
Program
today.
manager.
Yes.
Just like myself.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
High five. You can
Hi.
give me some inside tips.
I produce Opie and Jimmy.
Oh, yeah.
And their channel.
Oh, really?
Yeah. You're sort of my position.
Okay, great. You can give me some facts.
All right. I haven't fired anybody yet.
Oh.
You did.
I
so
did.
you're one up on me.
I did it very poorly, though, on the show. So I hope you don't do it like my character if you ever have to.
No, but I also didn't sleep with the host either.
Oop! That you're admitting to right now.
Yes, because there was 3 at one point. We're
Ooh.
down to 2,
Ooh.
so who knows?
Ooh.
Um,
Intrigue.
Not too much of a spoiler. The show's been out since February. So
Yeah,
if
you
you
can-
haven't gotten to it.
Sure.
All right.
Sure.
Serves you right.
Oh.
You should have gotten
Yeah,
it.
in your
gone
face.
See it. Right. It's cool, too, that the satellite company is Gravity Satellite Radio. And it's weird, too, that Judd came in to Opie and Jimmy to promote this.
Mm-hmm.
And Opie's a big fan of the show. And I'm watching it. And Judd was going around here because he's done so many interviews and stuff at Satellite Radio with Howard and with us and that he was trying to get the feel, the layout of how Satellite Radio goes.
Yeah.
But the one thing that bugs me, I guess, with a lot of sitcoms is they never get the equipment right.
No, they don't.
Because they have the mics right,
Yes.
they have the stands and everything, but the board that
I
they
know.
use is a music mixing
Yes.
board like a band would use.
Yes. Well, the secret is that we shoot at a recording studio that they
Right.
make look like a radio station.
That's
so
usually always the case.
yeah, so I think it's the board for whatever is actually really there. I know. I've noticed that too.
Because I've seen it in TV shows since they started doing
know.
radio on TV, except for WKRP because it was actually a radio station.
Yeah.
Anytime they brought Martin, remember Martin?
Yes.
In the 90s, Martin
Yes.
Lawrence had his sitcom, and he was a radio host. And sometimes the studio was not exactly what a radio studio is.
Well,
I don't know if that's just me being particular.
No, I notice things like that all the time. I think season 2 you're still going to be angry, but maybe for season 3 we can finally get the equipment right.
Well,
That'll be I won't come back to the show unless they finally get the equipment right.
I guess you're not coming back because just like this satellite radio, there's always budget issues.
Yeah, that
so
is
there's
true.
always a problem with the glass is cracked and
that true?
No, but I'm saying you
Oh.
can make a case that look the wallpaper's coming down.
Totally.
Some of these pots are shot. We need new microphones. And they said, well, instead of 3, use 2. And then you just have this
You
one
make
mic off
do.
to the side. You make do until
Yeah.
the whole place catches on fire.
Well, wow. Are we in danger of that right now? I see an exit sign right
you're gonna
there. Oh my gosh, Megan, are you ready to run?
So tell me about shooting season 2 now, but let's
Yes.
tell everybody about season 1 and Mickey and what love is all about.
Sure. So it follows myself and Paul Rust, and he plays Gus. And we meet at the end of the first episode. We're 2 very different people who seemingly have nothing in common, but are drawn to each other. And so over the first season of the show, you're watching us sort of dance around, maybe dating each other, but we all have our own very strong issues in our lives that are sort of holding us up or
Right.
holding us back. So my character is grappling with drugs and alcohol issues and sex and love addiction, and she's got her plate full coming out of a series of really bad relationships. He's more of a people pleaser, nice guy on the surface who's got some repressed rage, and is a tutor for child actors who gets really kind of bossed around by the child actors and really wants to be a TV writer.
Right. It's kind of like 2 people coming together who never would normally come together.
Yes.
Except for these really fucked up circumstances.
Exactly.
Right.
Fate brings them together. And they're not probably each other's type on the surface, but for whatever reason, they're drawn to each other.
I loved the way that they debuted your character in the first episode where you're just laying in bed and your ex-boyfriend kind of breaks into your bedroom and you're having this argument, and the whole line was, "Look, I'll fuck you, but you're not sleeping here."
Uh-huh.
I was like, okay, that tells you what kind of person she is.
Yep.
Whatever it takes to get you out the door.
Yeah, it was really interesting watching those first 2 episodes at the premiere with my mother sitting next to me. I'd sort of forgotten a lot of what we'd shot in the first 2, and I was like, oh, I'm so sorry that you're having to watch this right now. And she couldn't care less. It's so funny.
What would you have done if she leaned over? She goes, "Oh, I did things like that when I was young."
I would.
That was college for me.
Oh my! I would never believe it. My mom is so uptight. But it is really funny that she was listening to someone on the radio give an interview and talking about the 60s. And she's like, "Oh, I went on a road trip with some drug dealers." And I was like, "What?" But you don't really get those stories out of her too often. But every once in a while, you get a juicy one.
You got to hit some kind of gem that triggers a memory in her brain,
Yes.
and then she can't control it but has to let it out.
Exactly. I need to, give her some Pliny the Elder, her favorite beer, and then maybe the stories are going to flow.
Which is weird because you're very not into the alcohol.
I am not.
But
my mom comes from a brewing family, and she is very into the beer.
Well,
yes.
I was gonna ask you about that. Is it true what I read online? You're a teetotaler?
Well, I don't drink. I mean, I'm not.
Did they label that on you?
I mean, that's a term people use for people who don't drink, but that to me kind of implies that I'm trying to get
like something
other people to not drink. I don't care. People can drink. I don't care. I just don't.
Yeah, it's almost like a religious fascination of not drinking.
Yeah, I'm not strict about it. I'm not yelling at other people for drinking. I just choose not to.
I'm sure at some point you had, right?
No.
Never.
Never
Growing up that you tried it a little bit and go, look, this isn't for me.
No,
I'm not going to do it.
I've never.
So completely.
Do
you not ever have the urge?
Let me tell you something. If you've never drank, you don't really feel the urge to drink.
The urge to try. Because temptation is there to try. Maybe not to fully consume on a regular basis, but to at least try it once.
It's not something that I feel like I'm stopping myself from doing at this point. Mm-hmm. Because I've never been drunk, it's not something I'm trying to recreate I just don't really feel the urge.
Right. I'm not a big drinker by any means, and for the longest time, like even through college stuff, I didn't. I just had no desire to. My parents didn't drink, so it was never in my house. It was not a learned behavior of mine. Occasionally, I do like craft beers, which is why I want to get into your brewery history in a moment. But if I don't have it ever again, I'm fine with that.
Yeah.
My whole thing was soda. I had a huge addiction to soda, and I gave it up over a year ago.
Oh.
Well, Coca-Cola was my brand, but it's like cigarettes. My big thing was Cherry Coke, but then it whittled down to Cherry Coke Zero and Coke Zero. Like I'd alternate between the two. But it got to the point where, those rectangle 12-packs that they have that you can put in the refrigerator? I could go through like 2 of those a week. It was really bad. And saw some documentaries on sugar and everything that does to you. And I said, you know what? I'm going to try it. And I cut it out. And every once in a while, I'll go back. If somebody has it, I'll take a sip of it. And it doesn't taste anywhere near how I remember it anymore. Like your whole body changes, your chemistry changes, your taste buds change. And I was like, this tastes very chemically to me now. The Coke Zeros.
Yeah.
The regular Coke, if you get it made with the sugar cane, still addictive as hell.
Yeah.
You're like, oh my God, that's amazing. Yeah, that took a long time for me to cut out. But alcohol, I never had that desire to. So it's kind of cool to meet somebody who also is just like, not even social drink. It's just like, there's nothing in me that I really have any desire to try it.
I'm one of those people, those weird, rare people who's never drank.
Now, how did you get away from that when you had the brewery in your family?
Yeah. No one was like pushing a beer on me in my family, but I definitely grew up around people who loved beer. I mean, my mother is obsessed with Pliny the Elder. The hoppier the beer, the better. And it kind of dictates my life now, trying to find this beer for her because it's so hard to find. There's only certain places that sell it.
That's a Midwest beer, right?
It's a California Russian River brewery.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I always introduced it to her, and she fell in love, and now nothing else is good enough, and it's just ruining my life.
You've now turned into Eastbound and Down. You're trying to smuggle it across the country so that your mom can get it.
I love that show. Yeah, no, totally.
No, the movie.
The movie?
Oh, I said the title wrong. My bad. I was thinking Smokey and the Bandit.
Oh, I was thinking Kenny Powers.
No.
Eastbound and Down.
Smokey and the Bandit was about smuggling cores across the country.
Oh, really?
I've never Texarkana.
I've never seen Smokey and the Bandit. I have seen Eastbound
and Down. Burt Reynolds. You should see it.
Burt Reynolds.
He's a very attractive man in that movie.
Oh, really?
Mustache, the car, the hat, everything.
Ooh.
I'm comfortable enough to say it.
Sure.
Yeah, you're missing out.
I bet
you can
it
probably
is.
watch it after you
I have
watch
no-
all the
yes,
episodes of Love.
I will add Smoking the Bandit to my queue.
So you never had any desire, not that your family would push it on you, but because it's your family business to ever, like, hey, this is what we do. you know?
Yeah, well, the business was closed by the time I was born, so it wasn't really active anymore, but it was more just like the legacy of my family. It'd be like, Grandma could pour a beer in a single, it'd be like the legend of the family. It's like she could pour a beer out all at once without going over the rim of the glass. I mean, it's like that was family lore, but yeah, it just didn't really hold a lot of appeal to
How
me.
weird would it be if you saw photos of your grandmother doing the boot? You turned it at the last second.
I think my family liked to have a good time, so probably they would have been down.
Let's get back to Love on Netflix here. Judd Apatow project. Was he the one responsible for hiring you, or did he think of you as this part?
I think that Paul Rust, who plays Gus, one of the other lead of the show, and also co-created the show with Leslie Arfin and Judd. I think he liked my performance in Community, and I'd just been cast on Girls, so I think Judd knew who I was, but I think it was a combination of factors, and Community had just been canceled by NBC when they were putting the show together, so I think it all kind of lined up that it was a window in time where I was free and they were putting the show together, and they reached out to me, and so it all worked out.
Everything just aligned.
Yeah.
Interesting too. You going from Community, which had a rabid fan base that really petitioned to get you guys back on the air after being pulled off of NBC. And then I don't know if it was just Yahoo or if it was the audience forgot to go over and watch or something like that, because Yahoo went through a whole series of financial issues.
Yes.
And
I will not claim responsibility for Yahoo's financial issues.
And
I think it's totally misleading to blame Community for an
I'm not blaming Community at all. I'm blaming Yahoo.
All the headlines afterwards were like, Community brings down Yahoo. It's like, we're not that powerful and we're not that expensive. Yeah.
Right.
No, I think it was bad timing. And, I think that they've been sort of struggling for a couple of years to find their identity as a corporation. And they really made a push and were so generous to make a 6th season of our show and gave us a tremendous amount of freedom and, let Dan do whatever he wanted. But I just think it was kind of, a confluence of things over there. But yes, it was I was like, oh my God, we're the underdogs at NBC and now we've brought down an internet corporation. But
you get everything going over at Yahoo, and the season comes out and all this stuff's going on. Dan just throws his hands up and screw it, I'm gonna go back to Rick and Morty. And
I think that had already started, I want to say. But yeah, I think it was also hard, for people to find it on Yahoo, and they couldn't find the app or whatever. It's just difficult, I think, when a platform is launching. You're one of the first shows that they're launching, and so I think it was just tough, to get people to go to Yahoo when they weren't used to associating that with programming too. But
Right.
I hope people are finding it, because I'm really proud of that 6th season. I thought we did some really great episodes. So I hope people are, seeking it out. And if they miss Community, go and check it out if you haven't watched that Yahoo season.
The problem with Community, it was a great show. It was very quirky. I think a lot of mainstream America didn't know what to make of it. And I also think NBC mishandled the show a lot.
Yeah.
I think, say you didn't make the 6th season with Yahoo, I think that if you guys had the chance with, say, Netflix, I think you would have had a sturdier audience and a opportunity to expand to a worldwide audience. And I think Community would have been handled with better care if it was under the Netflix umbrella.
Well, you look at a show like Kimmy Schmidt, which was supposed to be on NBC, and is now on Netflix and doing incredibly well. And like you said, finding a global audience. And I think the DNA of networks change. And, when we started on NBC, The Office was still on the air, 30 Rock, it really, Parks and Rec, it felt.
It was the tail end of Must-See TV Thursday, yeah.
Yeah, and so it really has changed now. Thursday night comedy on NBC meant something when we started. And I don't feel like that is...
The Community bring that down, too.
We killed it. We killed NBC. Our first season was the year of the whole Jay Leno show, Conan. There was so much... We went through 3 heads of NBC while we were there, and I don't think you really understand until you work in television how much that stuff affects a show and its life. And I certainly didn't know before Community how sort of all the behind-the-scenes drama can really affect how many people end up seeing your show. And I think it was really just bad timing for the network. It was a bad time to debut as a show. And, our first couple of weeks we were on after The Office and we did incredibly well. And then they moved us to 8 o'clock and we didn't have a lead in. Then they moved Big Bang Theory to Thursdays at 8 o'clock and we were never going to be able to compete with that. they'd moved American Idol when it was still doing really well to Thursday. So it was sort of like all the networks moved these huge juggernaut shows
There's
to our
blood
time
in the water.
slot.
They
Yeah.
smelled weakness. And
So, it was hard for us because we didn't really have a lead-in or somebody to, piggyback off of with an audience. It was kind of all on our shoulders. And when you're a quirkier show, you need that support. So, but you never know. People discover shows later. People binge watch things later on, and maybe our first 5 seasons are on Hulu. Maybe it'll get a second life. People will find it.
You never know who discovers love.
Exactly.
And Netflix is the birthplace of binge watching.
Hello.
Right, and then everything's right there.
Totally.
One of the episodes was directed by Steve Buscemi.
Yes.
What was it like working with him?
Amazing.
Because everybody knows from his legendary acting roles.
Yeah.
But to have him behind the camera and not be part of the scene, it's like, oh my God, there's like De Niro, there's Al Pacino's like that. But I'm not working with them per se. They're telling me what to do.
I know, it's funny too. And yes, John Slattery, who plays Roger Sterling on Mad Men, also directed 2 episodes. It's really wonderful because, when you have an amazing actor like those 2 guys, there's just this shorthand that they have with you as another actor. So they can kind of just say like 1 or 2 things. You're like, I got it. I know exactly what you mean. And it's just wonderful. I feel like they have such great ideas. They have such insight into character and acting and everything. But it is funny to be directed by them and not be acting with them.
Right. I didn't even think about that. To be the actor who's doing directing and then knowing what your actors are going through. Because there's a lot of famous directors who have only just directed.
Yeah.
Maybe they've produced, maybe they've written.
Yeah.
But they were never in front of the camera. So they don't know 100% what the actor or actress is going through when creating a character or developing a scene, what have you. But to go from there to behind the camera, very few have done it and been successful. Rob Reiner, Ron Howard, some examples.
Yeah.
I didn't think about that they know, okay, I'm learning this, but I know where your mindset is and where you potentially can go with this.
Yeah, no, it's true. And, there are plenty of great directors who've never acted who are also able to give great direction. But it is really fun and refreshing when you get somebody who really speaks that actor language, because you spend so much time in acting school learning all these techniques and terms. And then when you get in the world, you kind of talk that way with your castmates, your scene partners, but you don't really necessarily get that all the time from the writers or the directors. So when you have a director who's like saying things, you're like, oh yeah, okay, yes, I know exactly what you mean. It's fun.
You have a great support cast on this show too. Brett Gelman, who I guess you could say he's not, you and Gus are the main characters, but he's seen quite often. But I learned of Brett Gelman when he was doing the Matthew Perry show. Go on. Thank you. When he was one of the crazies in the support group there. Yeah. And then seeing him in a couple of the FX shows and now onto your show here. I still picture him as like, all right, he's going to be crazy, whatever. But he's like this really sweet, insecure guy that feels bad that he's giving advice to anybody. It's like you can't be a doctor who gives advice on an international platform and certified to do so. And then like, am I doing this right? Are people dying because of me? It's like you can't have those thoughts.
He's totally wearing his insecurities on his sleeve. Yes. Yeah. Yes, Dr. Greg needs a lot of hand-holding to get through the day.
He's reversing the crazy and softening up, but it's the crazy is on the outside coming in instead of the inside going out.
The call's coming from inside the house.
Yes. Also, Carrie Kenny.
Oh, my God.
Who most of you would know from the state, but you also worked with her on Tiny Commando.
Yes, exactly.
So you got to work with her again. She plays, is it Sid?
Sid, my neighbor.
Your neighbor.
Yeah.
Your drug-dealing neighbor.
It was really amazing, that web series I did, Tiny Commando. Ed Helms produced it. It was myself and Zach Levi. And Ed just called in favors, so I got to work with Carrie, Thomas Lennon. Brett Gelman was on it, I think, Nick Kroll. Every day I got to work with another incredible actor. And so for me, a lot of these people, it was my first time working with them. And I'd been such a huge fan of Carrie's, and Reno 911 was one of my favorite shows. So
if you can find, they did a show before that on Comedy Central. It didn't last too long. It was called Viva Variety.
Oh, yeah. I remember Viva Variety.
You can't find it anywhere except YouTube.
All right.
People bootleg clips and stuff like that.
Maybe I'll ask Carrie for some DVDs.
So it's just a weird combination of like the old Sonny and Cher show and some weird Spanish television. Like they threw everything together.
Yeah.
It was just insane. I love that show.
She's a comedic genius, I think, and I'm so lucky to work with her.
All the episodes are up on Netflix. You should definitely watch that. A couple other quick things before you go. Is it true you're a big wrestling fan?
Oh my gosh. I've been to some wrestling. My friend Dink, so I went to a wrestling match a couple of weeks, maybe months ago at this point. Pro Wrestling Guerrilla in Reseda, California at the American Legion Hall.
Have you checked out some of the other things like Lucha Underground or TNA besides
I've
the
heard
WWE?
of TNA. They're sort of a rival league to PWG.
If you want to call it that.
I don't know. I hear rumblings of rivalries.
It depends if they're in every other week. You never know if they're in business.
Okay.
Yeah.
I've really only been to PWG.
Okay.
I've only really gone with Dink, and I have a great time when I go. And I am very afraid of being hurt, so I just have my purse in my lap. I'm clutching it, ready to run at all times.
All right, then don't reach out to WWE so that they know a celebrity likes wrestling, because they always try to incorporate you in some point or another.
I remember years ago when Ken Jeong went on with Jeremy Piven for like The Goods, I think that movie. Yeah. I'm a physically afraid person, so I won't sit in the middle, because that's where they come out when they come flying into the seats at PWG, so I'll only sit on the ends behind the big poles, so they're less likely to come flying.
See, not all of it is fake.
No, no, that is real. And also, I've made this clear to them. I don't like blading. It upsets me when they cut themselves.
All right.
And I stopped.
That's a very old school.
Well,
way
I
of
saw
doing
it
things.
once, and I did not like it. And the person's blood was dripping right by my foot.
If they're doing it nowadays, it's not the best way to try to put yourself over and sell yourself.
That's what I thought.
That's an old wrestler technique. When you think about that, you're thinking like Ric Flair,
Yes.
Dusty Rhodes,
Woo!
and Bruno Sammartino,
Yeah.
and that older generation. That's what they did in those territories.
It was a heel trying to become a face.
Right.
And I thought it was a cheap way to get sympathy from the audience.
Right, and it doesn't do anything because if you look at some of the Devon from the Dudley Boys who are currently back in the WWE, if you look at his forehead, you can see some of the scarring from cutting, and that's some intentional, but he was also in ECW taking barbed wire.
No,
and all that stuff to
I
the
don't
heads.
want that. But I'll stick to some flippy floppy. I don't want blading.
Okay, so no going through tables, no jumping off a cage into fire.
No,
okay.
no.
All right.
No. It's hard enough on their bodies. I mean, good God, I don't want them cutting themselves.
Last thing before you go, there's a magazine called The Edit.
Yes.
And you're on the cover of that.
Yes.
And I noticed one of the lovely ladies in that ensemble with you is Elizabeth Debicki.
Debicki? Yeah.
Have you seen her new show yet?
I haven't, but I really want Night Manager.
It was done over in England.
Tom
as a
Hiddleston?
mini. Yeah,
Yes.
it was. I think it was 8 episodes that they condensed to 6 for AMC.
Yeah, I really
Tom
want to see it.
Hiddleston and
Yeah.
Hugh Laurie and everything. She's amazing.
I
in
bet
it.
I've heard such great things about it.
But if you haven't checked it out, she's really good in this.
That's what I
thing.
heard. I heard incredible things about the show. It sounds right. Is it a John Le Carre book that it's based on, I think?
I have no idea what it's based on, other than it's awesome.
Yeah, I think it's the same writer as Tinker Tailor Soldier Spy.
There's, arms trades.
Woo!
There's napalm.
Yeah.
There's world governments
Come on.
toppling. There's a very attractive Hugh Laurie with a tan and a mansion island. I think it may be in Greece or somewhere.
Come on now.
There you go.
Let's watch it.
But let's also watch Love
Please.
on Netflix with Gillian Jacobs. Thank you so much for coming in.
Thank you.
I'd love to talk to you next time.
Yeah.
When is season 2? Oh, season 2 is not till next year,
Yeah,
right?
but I've got a movie coming out this summer.
With Mike Birbiglia.
With Mike Birbiglia.
He used to do Opie and Anthony
That's
a
what
lot.
they said. Used to.
Yeah.
I'm gonna have to
Well, here's the thing. He used to come on a lot, and I think it stems because he used to have not issues, but we used to have this other comic. Well, no, we still do. Rich Voss on,
Mhm.
and they would there's some friction between them because I don't know. I guess Rich didn't like him too much or whatever.
All right.
But then all of a sudden, Mike blew up with his one-man show on Broadway, his sleepwalking stuff,
Mhm.
and then a couple other little indie movies that he did. And now Mike is just this huge, entity unto himself where he's doing all these passion projects. And I was like, yeah, we're never going to see him again. I love the guy. I would love, I wish him the best. I wish he'd come back on the show or even come around here. But
Wow.
that's great that you're going to do the movie with him.
Yeah, maybe I can guilt him into coming back.
Please do. And if
Okay.
not their show, my show.
Okay, all
I would like
right.
to talk to Mike. I
Exactly.
never had a problem with Mike.
Okay.
Can you tell us real quick what the movie is?
Yeah, it's called Don't Think Twice.
All right.
It's myself, Mike, Keegan Michael Key, Kate McCucci, Chris Gethard, Tammy Sager, and we play an improv group like at a UCB theater or a Second City, and the theater where we perform is going under, and it's kind of causing a crisis for all of us because none of us have really made it in the industry, and maybe it's time to pack up, or maybe there's a new chapter
Or
for
maybe
us.
have a car wash and raise those funds.
Hello.
Gillian Jacob, thank you so much. It's Gillian Jacobs on Twitter. Spell out the whole name.
My
It's right
full
there.
weird name.
Shoot her some love, especially after you've seen Love, and tell her how great she is and how great the show is. Thank you so much. We'll see you next time.
Thank you.